Your hand is already moving. You didn't decide to reach for it. The phone was in your pocket a second ago, and now it's in your palm, screen glowing against your face, and you have no memory of choosing any of this. Sound familiar? You probably think this is about willpower. It isn't. You probably think the phone is the problem. It isn't either. The real answer is far stranger and far older than any phone, older than electricity, older than farming, older than language itself. To understand why you can't stop, you have to leave the phone behind for a moment. You have to go back, way back. Back to a version of you that lived on an open plain with nothing in its hands but a stick, and a brain already running the exact program that runs your thumb today. Let's start with what's actually happening in your head. When you pick up your phone, you expect something, maybe a message, maybe a like, maybe nothing at all. And that word maybe is the most powerful word in your entire nervous system. Your brain runs on a chemical called dopamine. Most people think dopamine is the pleasure chemical, the reward you feel when something good happens. That's wrong. Dopamine isn't about the reward. It's about the anticipation of the reward. A neuroscientist named Wolfram Schultz spent years studying dopamine in the brains of monkeys. He gave them a signal, then a drop of juice. At first, the dopamine spiked when the juice arrived. Predictable. But then, something changed. As the monkeys learned that the signal meant juice was coming, the dopamine stopped firing at the juice. It started firing at the signal instead. The chemical had moved. It jumped backward in time, away from the reward and toward the promise of the reward. Read that again. Your brain doesn't celebrate when you get the thing. It lights up when it thinks the thing might be coming. So what happens when the reward is unpredictable? What happens when sometimes there's juice and sometimes there's nothing? And you can never quite tell which. Schultz found the answer. When the reward became a coin flip, the dopamine didn't calm down. It went into overdrive. Uncertainty was rocket fuel. The less predictable the reward, the harder the brain chased it. Now think about your phone. You unlock it, and sometimes there's a message from someone you love. Sometimes there's a like on the thing you posted. Sometimes there's absolutely nothing. You never know which. Every single time you check, you're flipping that coin, and your brain, ancient and hungry, cannot look away from a coin that might come up gold. This isn't an accident. Someone figured this out a long time ago. His name was B.F. Skinner. In the 1950s, he put pigeons and rats into small boxes with a lever. If pressing the lever always produced food, the animals pressed it calmly, only when hungry. Predictable, boring. But Skinner tried something else. He made the food come out randomly. Sometimes 1 press, sometimes 10 presses, sometimes 50. The animal could never predict when the next pellet would drop. And the animals went mad for the lever. They pressed it again and again and again, far more than they ever needed to, unable to stop even when the food stopped coming entirely. Skinner called it a variable ratio reinforcement schedule. It is, to this day, the most powerful pattern of reward psychology ever discovered. It is the mechanism behind every slot machine on Earth. And it is the exact mechanism living inside the app you opened this morning, before you were even fully awake. You are the pigeon. The lever is your screen. The random pellet is the maybe. Here's where it gets darker. A researcher named Natasha Dow Schull spent 15 years studying gambling machines and the people hypnotized by them. She wrote about something the players called the machine zone, a state where time disappears, where you forget your body, where you forget you're even trying to win. The players told her they weren't chasing money. They were chasing the zone itself. The smooth, endless, frictionless loop of press, wait maybe, press, wait maybe. Schull discovered that the machines were engineered deliberately to erase every gap that might let you stop. No pauses, no natural endings. Just a bottomless feed of almost. Now scroll your feed and ask yourself, where does it end? When does the page finish loading? When are you supposed to stop? You already know the answer. Never. It was designed that way by people who read the same research you're reading right now, So that's the trap. But this still doesn't explain the deepest question. Why does the trap work on you at all? Why is your brain wired to be captured by a random reward in the first place? Why didn't evolution build a mind that could just walk away? To answer that, we have to go back to the plane, to the stick in your ancestor's hand. Picture your great-great-grandmother times 10,000. She's foraging. She's moving through tall grass, and her survival depends on one thing: finding food that is scattered, hidden, and unpredictable. A berry bush here, a cluster of roots there, a tree heavy with fruit, but only sometimes, only in season, only if the birds haven't gotten to it first. She never knows what the next patch of ground will hold. She has to keep looking. She has to keep checking. She has to keep moving, driven by a small electric pulse of maybe every time she rounds a hill or parts the grass. The ancestor who felt bored by uncertainty, who shrugged and sat down and stopped searching, starved. The ancestor whose brain lit up at the possibility of a reward, who felt compelled to check the next spot, and the next, and the next, survived. She ate. She lived. She had children. You are her child. You inherited her brain. That electric pulse of maybe, the one that dragged her across the savannah in search of scattered food, is the same pulse that drags your thumb across a glass screen in search of scattered messages. Your feed is a field. Your notifications are berries. Your brain cannot tell the difference. It was never designed to. For 2 million years, the drive to check unpredictable places for hidden rewards was the single most useful instinct a human could have. It kept your entire lineage alive. And then, in the space of about 15 years, someone took that instinct and put it in your pocket and pointed it at a screen that never runs out of grass. The evolutionary biologist Robert Sapolsky put it in a way that's hard to forget. He pointed out that dopamine is not really about happiness at all. It's about the pursuit of happiness. It's the engine of wanting, not the peace of having. And a brain built to want, endlessly, in a world of scattered rewards, will never feel finished. It was never supposed to feel finished. Finished on the savannah meant dead. So when you finish scrolling and feel a strange, hollow emptiness, that's not a malfunction. That's the whole design. You were never meant to arrive. You were only ever meant to keep foraging. Let's sit with the strangest part of this. You are not weak. You are not lazy. You are not addicted because there's something broken in you. You're checking your phone for the exact same reason. A 2-million-year-old woman parted the grass to see what was on the other side. The instinct is ancient, and it is honorable, and it kept you alive. It's just aimed at the wrong field now. Think about what that means. Every time you feel that pull, that itch, that little tug to just quickly check, you are feeling one of the oldest sensations a human can feel. It connects you to every ancestor who ever searched for food, every hunter who scanned the horizon, every gatherer who wondered what was over the next rise. It's a beautiful instinct. It built the human race, and it is being harvested. That's the part worth getting angry about. Not the instinct, the harvest. Because the field you're standing in was not planted by nature. It was planted by companies who studied Skinner's pigeons, and Schultz's monkeys, and Schill's gamblers, and who built a slot machine that fits in your hand, and who profit every single time you pull the lever. They know exactly what the maybe does to you. They measured it. They optimized it. They made the grass infinite on purpose. But here's the thing they can't take from you. You now know the trick. You know that the emptiness at the end of the scroll was engineered. You know that the pull isn't a flaw in you, but an ancient survival tool being pointed somewhere it was never meant to go. And knowing the mechanism is the first crack in the machine. The next time your hand starts moving on its own, pause just for a second. Notice the pull. And instead of fighting it or feeling ashamed of it, recognize it for what it is. That's not weakness. That's 2 million years of survival instinct, still running, still searching, still trying to keep you alive in a field that no longer holds any real food. You can't delete the instinct. You wouldn't want to. It's the same drive that will make you curious, that will make you learn, that will make you round the next hill of your actual life to see what's really there. The goal was never to kill the forager inside you. The goal is to point her at a field worth searching. So, the question isn't really why you can't stop checking your phone. You can stop. You just have to see the grass for what it is. Your hand is already moving. But this time, you know exactly where it's trying to go, and exactly how old that pull really is. And for the first time, you get to decide whether there's anything in that field worth reaching for at all.